Just got a chance to recap the weekend and review the film. Obviously disappointed we didn't see more success in in all three phases. We knew we had to play a mistake-free game against Texas. We thought the game plan was what we needed to do. We just didn't execute it. Had a couple of first game mistakes and in the second quarter that were tough to recover, and really got to clean up some of the mental errors that we had in the game. And it was really difficult to recreate their speed in practice. They've got great recovery speed, very good football team. Disappointed with the outcome, but not discouraged. Nothing's changed how I feel about our football team and what we can accomplish this season. We're beginning a very important 3-game homestand. We got 7 home games this year, and we've got something special going on this week, and I want to talk about it for a second. We're gonna honor John Mosley, and for those of you that don't know John Mosley, he's a very big part of our CSU history, and we're getting a chance to pay tribute to him this weekend. Probably the highest honor you could give an athlete. We're going to retire his jersey, number 14, over every sport, which is very uncommon to happen at any university. John Mosley was the first black football player to letter here at CSU. He earned all conference honors in both football and wrestling. He was elected class president both his senior and junior years. Joined the Army Air Corps after graduating from Colorado A&M at the time. Enrolled in Tuskegee Flight Training Program and became one of the first black pilots in U.S. history. His son, Eric, is going to be here this weekend, and his family. We're very excited to have them back and honored. He's going to address the team on Friday, and we'll honor John on Saturday. Very appreciative of our administration for making this happen. We're playing Northern Colorado, UNC, this weekend. It's our Ag Day, which is a big tradition here. First of 7 home games. And really important stand, like I mentioned. Ed Lamb's in his second year there. Really working hard to get that team to play hard, and they are playing very hard. I think they made a lot of improvement for a year ago. They lost their first game to Incarnate Word. But they're a team like us trying to get on track and show great improvement between game 1 and game 2. They're multiple offense led by Peter Castelli, quarterback on offense. Really strong running backs. One of them is Van Shield, who played for us a year ago. And Van's a good, hard player, did a good job for us. We know what he's about. Defense, they're a multiple defense. Strength of their defense is their linebackers. And they're a team trying to find themselves. And, when you play a team like that, you really got to be strong in your core beliefs and what you're doing. And so we're hit the practice field today, getting back at it, getting our team ready to roll for this weekend.
You talked about, obviously you were discouraged with what happened last week, but you still have confidence in this offense that it can be the explosive offense. When you looked at what happened that kept that from happening in Texas, was it more of a you thing, a they thing, or an even split?
No, we felt like we had to play a certain way to manage the game and to eat up clock and to keep their home run hitters off the field. It's a very uncomfortable way for us to play, but I felt like we needed to do that to give ourselves an opportunity. We didn't execute some things. We had to play a turnover-free game, and we didn't. We turned the ball over on the punt, which was tough to overcome. And like I said, they have a very good team. They'll probably have 10 draft picks this year. And next year they'll probably have 10. And the next year they'll probably have 10. So there's probably 40 kids on their roster that can play in the National Football League. So, we got to be realistic of what we're playing against. And so, we didn't execute what we did to beat this team. I think we're capable of doing that. I do think that this game is going to teach us lessons that are going to help us down the road. And we need to take lessons from this and put it into play for the future.
Knowing your penchant for history, what you were learning about John Mosley? What kind of struck you about his life and what he was?
No, it's just, I don't think any of us really can understand the times that he came up in, and with segregation and it's tough, being the first. I mean, I've had some people in my family that were the first. My dad was the first black athletic director of Michigan State. I've been the first African-American coach at a couple different schools. And so to be first at that time is much different than now. But for him to do all the things that he accomplished, he was a unique, incredibly talented individual, and a leader in his own right. And, to be a pilot at that time, one of the first pilots in World War II, and to represent this country the way that he did in this university is pretty amazing.
Okay, what's a little bit different about this time around? Obviously, you guys went to Michigan 2 years ago and had a pretty big defeat there. But what's different? Do you feel like?
I don't know. Everybody wants to compare. I mean, to me, it's a loss. A loss is a loss. We're a different team. We're more experienced. We didn't play well Saturday. And they were a different team than Michigan too. Michigan was a more physical, ground-oriented team. This was a team with a lot of skilled guys that can run all over the place. So regardless, it still counts the same at the end of the day. So, I think we have a lot of season in front of us. We have most all of our goals in front of us, and what really matters is what we do from here on out and how we handle this and move forward.
You mentioned kind of game plan a little different than maybe your normal one. How do you kind of balance that of wanting to be true to yourselves, but also what a game needs?
Well, you look at every game differently, and you do the things that you feel like you need to do. I mean, we try to keep their offense off the field. They have a lot of home run hitters. You give them enough opportunities, you're going to come out on the short end. So we tried to do what we needed to do that. We played at a little slower pace. We just didn't execute and finish drives.
You talked a lot about wanting to run the ball with more consistency. I think Marshall averaged 4.5 yards a carry, went over 100 yards for third time in 4 games. Just what kind of growth have you seen out of him?
I mean, I think we've got a lot that we can pull from that game, and that's one of them. Justin being able to run the football, our offensive line did a lot of good things against a really good defense. They didn't let anybody do that to them last year in the running game, and so we have to build on that. I think as we go, we're trying to build a more physical team. We're trying to build a more rugged team that can hold up over a conference season and be able to run the ball when we have to run the ball. And I think we made strides with that Saturday. The final score doesn't look pretty, but we did some good things running the football. I thought Jacob Gardner and Drew Moss and Savion Henderson played really well. Aaron Karras and Alex, they were a little bit of a step behind at times. And I thought we saw some younger players that hadn't played a game like this, just a little bit slow on the trigger. And so they'll learn from that. They'll be better. But I do think we can take some of that growth in the run game with us the rest of the season.
I was chatting with Dane Olson. He's been here 6 years. We counted up.